Hello, Max here again. I thought I'd just do a quick video today. Well, it might not be a quick one, but a video today on how I created my little mini concertina journals, which were in the spring edition of Art Journaling magazine by Stampington. I can't show you one because I haven't got them back yet. They're in the process of being sent back. So I'll explain the process, and hopefully if you go onto my Facebook page you should be able to see them, or Instagram, whichever. I started out with, this is what we call a till roll in the UK. It's a cash register roll in the US and various other places. It's not the one that's heat activated, it's just plain paper. I had these from when I had a shop donkeys years ago, and I've got a lot. So I'm going to take probably I'd say probably about 3 feet or so, maybe a bit more. Just have a quick measure. 1, 2, oh, just over 3 feet in length. It's not an exact science, just do whatever you can and whatever you feel like. It does, the longer the length of the piece of paper, the more difficult it is to control, but you get a nice chunky little journal if you have a reasonable length of paper. I'll just take the end off so that it's straight-ish. Put my ruler away. I always start these the same way. I take a waterproof fineliner. These are Micron fineliners in black. I like to use black. You can use whatever colour you want, whatever colour you've got. If you haven't got a waterproof one, by all means, a permanent one, just use what you've got. If you use a water reactive one, you'll get some nice effects when you add the other mediums over the top. So just go with what you've got. This is a 03. I've also dug out my 01, but I'm going to start with the 03. And I always start by just journaling thoughts, feelings, worries, anything that's getting to me and that needs to be out. I don't write it so anybody can read it, but it's just getting it down on the paper. And I don't go in a straight line, I go all over the place, I leave gaps. Just do what you feel, and do, you can go side to side if you want, doesn't matter, just do what you feel. So I'm just going to do a little bit and then just go with what I think. There we are. So that's just a worry from today. I've been to visit my mum and she wasn't so great. So this is just my thoughts and worries just being journaled onto the page. If you wanted more journaling, turn it upside down, get another fine liner. This is a finer one. Now this pen is about running out, but that doesn't matter, it just gives you a different texture. If you don't want to do journaling, just do mark making, just do a scribble. It's just about getting it out of your system. So we've got quite a long strip with journaling on it. Going to tuck it over there. I'm going to start next. As I say, it is a little bit difficult to control. I usually put a paint pot at one end. I've got a palette knife, I've got an old store card, but I think to set off with, I'm going to go with, I've got some gloves on, just my fingers, just to add a little bit of colour. So these are Paperartsy Fresco Finish Chalk Acrylics. I'm going to go with, I don't know how you pronounce it, Cerulean and Lavender. Both are opaque. The Lavender is an Alison Bomber colour. The Cerulean is a Tracy Scott colour. The Lavender's a little bit more opaque than this, just slightly. So I'm just going to get a little bit of that on my craft. It's not a craft mat, it's just it's an old tile. And I'm just going to add it here and there. You can add smears, marks. There's a bit too much on there, so we'll just move it along. Quite a bit of this you will probably end up covering up. And you see, I'm going over the journaling so that it's partly covered up. You can see what I mean about it not being as opaque as the lavender. When we add a little bit of lavender, you'll see it covers more up. It might look a total mess at this stage. Expect that. That's what it will be. It won't be perfect, and you'll probably think, ugh, don't like that at all. It doesn't matter. Just going to get that off the mat. Right, while that's drying, I never ever like to waste paint. So I've got a piece of scrap card here. I've got my paint over here, and I'm just going to do some mark making on this card. Just get it all used up. That's it. Right, that's that colour out of the way. Let's get it off my gloves and then I don't get the two mixed. They won't make mud because they're the same side of the colour wheel, but I don't particularly want a different colour. So we'll do the same with the lavender. Give it a good shake up because I haven't used this one lately. That's it, we don't need as much. I got a little bit too much last time. And we'll go... Right, we'll start at this end this time. And some of this is still wet, so it might mix. Just have a little bit. Have some little dabby marks as well. Quite like the marks as the paint runs out. It's a bit of an unusual colour, is this, to mix with the turquoise, but I quite like the combination. I'll have a solid block at the end and we'll run it into the turquoise. As you see, when it's almost dry, you can drag it along and it blends with some of the other colours. We need a bit more there, there's not very much there. And a bit more here. Right, got one little bit left on my scrap piece of card. So we'll just have a few finger marks. As I say, I hardly ever waste paint. I put it on somewhere, even if it's just on a scrap piece of paper like this, because I just hate waste. Right, so we'll get rid of all the bits on the tile, which gives that other piece a little bit of time to just dry a little. Right. Let's have a look at what we've got. So you see we've got some blends. Some of the journaling is still visible, but you can't read it. Not that you could read it before. But we've got a long length of messy paper basically. So the next thing I'm going to do, what shall we do next? Sometimes I vary the sort of order that I do these things. Sometimes I'll add gesso at this stage. Sometimes I'll do more marks. I think I'll do a little bit of mark making. Now I had a nice mark making tool somewhere. Ah, that'll do. This is one of my empty Yoo-hoo glue sticks. And I quite like this on the bottom, but that is really good. It's got two little arrows on it, so that's quite nice. But I think we'll just use the plain round at the moment. You could do this with paint, but I tend to do it with just Archival ink, basically because it dries instantly. So I'm just adding some marks, going over the edge. I'm tending to group them, 2s or 3s. I'll do the odd one, but mostly they are 2s and 3s. Basically because I like multiples and repetition. And over the edge, there we are. So that's that. I don't think I'll do the one with the little circle. I'm not so bothered about that at the moment. At this point we could do a little bit of spraying with some Paperartsy Infusions, which I've done before, but I think we'll just continue with this colour. And just so that you can see it a little bit better, I'll just check we're in view. Yes, we are. I've got my little pot of salt, that'll just anchor it down there. This is my gesso, which I have, if you've watched my channel before, you'll know that it's in a tomato ketchup squeezy bottle. And it's not wanting to come out today. It's being awkward. Oh, and then we get a big blob. But whatever. So I don't want a vast amount, I just want a little bit. I think you can see, yeah, I can see how on the video how much there is. And then I'm just going to randomly smear it across. Every so often I'll go some on the colour, some on the marks that I've made, some in the spaces. This just adds a little bit of a cohesive look to everything. And you don't have to go that way, you can go across, wherever, whichever way you want. I quite like the marks when there's not a great deal of gesso on your spatula. We'll go down and up and just move it about a bit. And again, I've got too much gesso, but anyway. Right, so you see it looks a lot more cohesive when we've got gesso blending it in. And you can go back and just add any bits where you think it needs a bit more. We've got some nice marks and smears, but it just blends everything. That needs to be blended in a bit more. They do get a little bit uncontrollable, these rolls, because I should have possibly done a bit smaller one, then it would be a bit more controllable. But part of the fun is having the amount of surface to work on. Right, so that's that. What you can also do, if you want to, and I'll use my, I will use the top of this, you can go in and pick some gesso up on that and make additional marks, which they're not immediately obvious, but they are quite nice, and it just carries on the circle theme. That's a nice one. So if you go on the colour, you'll see it's a lot more obvious. We'll go on the colour at the edge there. Yeah, I like the way they look on the colour, so we'll go a bit more heavier onto the colour. That's it. Right. So I need to set that apart just to dry a little bit now. We're going to come back to this. Let me just get that up so I just don't get it everywhere. Now we've got this space here, and there's not much gesso, but there's a bit. I'm just going to make marks with it on here, which will look pointless, but actually if you do this, I have to go onto the crease, but we don't mind, and then once it's dry you can spray infusions or diluted acrylic paint, whatever, onto this, and the gesso acts as a resist. So basically you'll get a nice sort of resist with the white gesso and the infusions in the back, because infusions by Paperartsy, they're a dye stain, and I create them, make them into sprays, and I use those a lot. If you've watched my other videos you'll see I've used them a lot, but they're absolutely fab. So these, once they're dry, I'll give it a spritz and we'll get a nice resist pattern. I'll put a picture of that once I've done it at the end of the video as well, and of these marks and what I do with them, but at the moment I'm just going to set them aside. Right, so we're back. It's more or less dry. I've found some stamps that I want to use. Echoing the circles theme, I've got this Kate Crane mini from Paperartsy, KCM 003. It's a nice circular one. I love letters and numbers, absolutely adore them. So this is one of my favourite ones. I use this stamp so much. It's a mini MN18, so it's quite an old one really, from Paperartsy way back when. MN22, which is just big numbers. Now I've mounted that on a block because I think I want it to be a little bit more solid, less sort of freestyle stamping. I've got another two waiting in the wings, which I'm not sure if I'm going to use. Eclectica EM107. That's Paperartsy mini. It's designed by Seth Apter, and another one by Seth Apter is this one, EM110, and it has quite solid areas, but it's linear. So that one and the numbers are contrasting against the circular elements, but the other two will be echoing the circular elements. So you can see I'm going for contrast and repetition. I've got my black Archival Ink and Bluebird, which tones quite nicely with that. So I'll just take the lids off those and then they're ready to go. As long as I remember which is which, we'll be alright. So I'll go with my number stamp to set off with. And I'm going to go in sort of not full stamping, but partial stamping in blank areas. Some just the odd one or two. This will wipe off as well. We'll go full stamp there. You can see it's a gorgeous stamp. I absolutely love it. I'll just give my stamp a wipe. Right, so that's that one. We'll put that aside. We'll go with this one, the letters and numbers. I don't think we'll go with black this time. We'll put that over there. Right, see if we can get you in frame. Get the rest of the roll over there. And I'll go with the Bluebird this time. And it doesn't have to be really obvious. You're just creating visual texture. doesn't have to be readable or anything like that. It's just for visual texture. And if you want, you can combine them, go one over the other. There we are. That's getting a lot more interesting. So we'll pop that one away. Now the circles. Do we want black or do we want turquoise? I think the big circles will go with black. So I think it needs a little bit more sort of depth. So again, I'm going to go over the edge. I'm not going to be completely on. And it doesn't matter if I get a full stamp or not. I'll have some full stamps. Do some on the paint. There we are. So I think we're done with that one. Get it with its backing paper. Just get rid of the black. If I let it dry on too much, it doesn't come off later with being a permanent ink pad. Right, so now we need to have a look and decide what else we need to add. I think we definitely need some lines because we're very circular, no lines at all to contrast, and I think we do need that. So I'm going to go with this one. Just wondering if I have a purple ink pad. I don't think I do. But you can see it's quite a solid stamp. I'll try the black first. See what I think. Oh yes, I quite like that. You can see on the back of my stamp I've got lines. They tally up with the lines here because if I want it to be at an angle and I want it to be straight up, it's very difficult because it's not a clear stamp to get it straight up. So I draw lines on the back so I know which way the lines are going. So yeah, I quite like the, you won't be able to see that, I'm off the out of shot, but basically I'm going over the edge with little bits, and I can go fully across. Which I quite like. Could go the other way as well if I wanted to, but I don't think I want to. I think I want to just keep it top to bottom. Yeah, I quite like that. Clean my stamp. Right, so let's see if we want anything else. I think we've got quite a lot of interest everywhere. And you can see all the different marks are just making it look more interesting, visual texture. And I can add to some of these marks if I want. Get the other end of it out of the way a little bit. If I get a fairly big Micron pen, you see, oh, right, well that's got no end in it. That's no good at all. I wonder where that's gone. Alright. Some of these marks where I've stamped them, they haven't completely stamped. If I want them to completely stamp, I can just continue them. It's not a problem. And I can extend them if I want and make them bigger or smaller. I can do some quite bold mark making on the edge. This is a permanent marker, and one of the things I do like to do, quite bold marks on the edge. It just gives it a little bit more contrast of the bold marks with the lighter marks. And you can do it sort of in a small way like that. You can do a line like that. It's all contrasting against the circles. So you've got the circles, you've got the lines, but then you've got the really deep lines and bold lines. I tend to go from the bottom, so I should go from the top as well. There we are. You can vary them, you can go, oh, whatever you wish. Just have fun and play and make marks. So I think I'm about finished with the background of this. I really quite like it. So I'm going to switch the camera off and I'm going to find some focal points. Probably out of my doodle diary. I have several books and I just doodle in them. And then once I've sort of filled them or half filled them, I just colour them as I need the doodles coloured to use on things like this. I might have a dig amongst my scrap pile as well and see what else I've got. See, that's quite interesting. That's some of the top of the Yoo-hoo glue stick. They're quite nice. I'll see. I could also use some of the Paperartsy tissue. That would be rather nice. I've got various different ones. This is quite a nice one. I think this is a JOFY one. Christmas one, but that would be quite nice in amongst it. Yes, I quite like that. So I'll get some more of this. Right, so I've coloured some of my doodles. Here, this is a page and they were just plain doodles, no colour, and I've just watered down a little bit of the Lavender Paperartsy Fresco Finish chalk acrylics with water, mixed it up in my palette. So it's quite liquidy and quite fluid. And then I've used it to colour these doodles. They need to have the centres coloured and more doodles on the top to make them a bit more arty. But while I've got this paint here left over, I'm just going to add a bit of colour to some of the areas where I've stamped. this lavender paint is actually translucent, I think. Is it? Or is it opaque? Oh no, it's opaque. But I've watered it down quite a lot. So it's made it more opaque. And if you put it on and then dab it off if it's too harsh. But you see, it's just added a bit more interest to the circles. Particularly in areas where there's a lot of white and just a little bit of the turquoisey colour. So that's that. That's quite fluid, so it won't dry out too quickly, so I'll just pop it over there and I'll use it up later. So just get rid of those, and I just need a paintbrush. Or do I? Sometimes I apply tissue, because this is Paperartsy printed tissue, and this one is actually a JOFY one, JOFY Young, and it's a Christmas one, but I've got some left, so I thought it would be quite fun to just add some in areas. So I'll see how we go with our glue stick to set off with. I think I'll have, let's have a look, what have we got? We've got a bit of a squared pattern. That would be quite nice on the end there. You can see I'm probably going to need a new glue stick shortly. It's getting towards the end. You can always put your finger on to find out where it is. There we are. And what I usually do is add the tissue in, tear it off roughly at the end or the top or the bottom, so it gives you another bit, and then neaten it up later with a pair of scissors. So we've got this bit, I think we'll go over there. And then we've got the contrast of the dark marks against the grid. That's quite nice. Let's see, we'll go a bit further. I need something here. I tend to add a lot of the same sort of pattern tissue for continuity, and then go back with a second different type. See, I quite like this grid against the circles, it's nice. We've not got so much more of it left, so we'll have a little bit towards the beginning of the row, I think. Right at the beginning here, that would be quite nice. Yeah, that's quite nice there. So I found these star bits, they're very nice. I'll take my gloves off, they're getting annoying. Don't actually need them on at the moment. Where shall we put the stars? We'll have a little bit of a star at the end here, at the beginning. Now this is where glue or liquid glue or matte medium would be better, because going over the dark colour, it makes it a little opaque, so we'll go over where it's black and white and it's less obvious. Let's have a look, we'll go a bit further down. Oh, I think that bit needs a bit of stars. And yeah, that's a coloured bit, so it wouldn't show. Oh, I think there. can always go vertically. I don't like straight edges. Most of the time it doesn't show up because you're adding the glue. But if it does show, I don't like it. So we'll go with that, like that. That's quite nice. Just a bit more on that edge. You can always come back and add a bit more glue. Right, now do we need any more? I think we're getting there. Just a bit of something there, I think. I've got this star. That will look quite nice there. And I know it's on the coloured bit, so it could possibly show up. But hey ho. Oh, that's not so bad. There we are. Yes, I think I'll leave it at that. I'll trim these edges off and then we'll come back and add the doodles. Right, so all the paint and everything is dry, and I've measured my length of journal roll, and it is 39 inches basically. So I thought if I did my little concertinas at 3 inches, then I wouldn't lose any bits. So I've just folded and scored it at 3 inches there. And basically all I do then, just go backwards and forwards, folding it at 3 inches. You can mark it, but I just tend to do it by eye. Sometimes it's a little bit out, but it's not really that important, as long as you more or less. And I just basically make sure that the two side edges line up. If your sides are level, your crease is going to be level. And as I say, backwards and forwards. I do tend to get a little bit wider as I go along, so every so often I have to correct myself. It's a bit like watching paint dry. I should imagine watching me fold this, but yeah, I tend to creep a little bit, but it doesn't matter. It does get easier the further down the roll you get. Yeah, because I've crept a little bit, I've got this little odd bit here. So this is the front. We've got all our pages, and then that's the last bit. But what I can do is just wrap that round there. And that looks okay, that looks fine. I will create a wrap to go around it, which I tend to go with the colours and just do something that coordinates with it. But for now, we're all folded, ready to add words and flowers, etc. I fold it at this stage rather than adding the flowers and the words, because if you use the Tim Holtz Idea-ology quotes, then they are a little, well, quite a lot thicker than these, and they don't always crease very well, and you don't want half of your quote on one page, half on the other. And it's a little bit like having pages in a journal. You can then create a focal point on a page, then move on to the next one. So it's quite nice to do that. So I'm going to cut some flowers out and find some words, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Right, so I'm back. I've got my little journal all folded up. I'm still not decided about that last little piece. We'll sort that when we've finished. I'm going to do the inside pages before I do the outside one, because I haven't decided exactly what I'm putting on there. I've gathered up a few bits and pieces, some of my doodle flowers that have come out of my doodle diary. It's one I did a couple of, well, I've got a few, I've got about 5 or 6. This was one I did for the 100-day project in 2023, and I doodled flowers and then I coloured them in. I think these were done with Villainous Potion. I've also taken some out of my latest doodle diary, and I've coloured them with a bit Jaded Infusions, which is not exactly the right colour, but it tones with everything. It doesn't look out of place. These little circles, can you remember the scrap of paper we used the paint up on? These are some of the little circles, and then these I've turned into leaves. I've just doodled an oval leaf shape and put some veins in and then cut them out. So I'll be using some of those as well. Do you know we had the top that we dipped in gesso? I had some left over, a bit jaded, and there was a little bit of the lavender that I'd watered down to colour these flowers. That was the lavender Fresco finish paint, and I'd watered it down to colour those. Here we are, that's the rest of the sheet. And so I had some left over. I mixed the two together, which made this very nice grey. It's a lovely colour. And then I just put a wash over with my brush, over the gessoed circles. And those look very nice, and they'll be nice cut out or done in a strip on a collage. So there's those as well. So we've got all sorts of bits and pieces left over. We've got a lot of flowers that we can use on other projects. I lost another little bit there. So they will come in. They'll go in my little bitty tray at the side. I've also gathered up some Tim Holtz quotes. These are from, I found the front page. It's Tim Holtz Idea-ology, Small Talk. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those that I seemed to think would fit in with the theme of the journal. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the pages, because I count those two as one page, because when you open it out it'll be a 2-page spread. And then I wanted one for the cover. So I think the one I'm going to use on the cover is This Is What Family Looks Like, because it was about a challenging day looking after Mum. So I think on the cover, which I will create later, I'll put that one. But we'll start here with this 2-page spread. I'll just check to make sure we're in shot. Yes, we are. So I don't think I need to add anything else to that. I sometimes add a little bit of white pen or black pen. See, I'll do this just to show you. I've stamped the letters and numbers there, and you can go down the centre and just add white to block out anything in the background, and then it makes them stand out a bit more. But I'm not particularly bothered about that on this page. It's fine as it is. So I think we'll go with, I tend to put my focal points, focal areas to the right hand side. So I think we'll go here somewhere, because that's quite a bold component. So we'll go here somewhere, and we're going on to the turquoise, so we'll use purple. So we'll try some of these little flowers, which I think would look quite nice. And because I'm putting one there, I think I need to put something at this side as well. So I think we might do a couple up there. Where's the fold there? Maybe here, maybe a bit further here. I need to try and avoid the fold if I can. Yeah, I think that looks quite nice. If I go a bit further over there, we'll maybe choose look on the bright side. That's quite nice. So I think it's quite easy. I guess I've got a line here. Just making sure I'm avoiding the crease. So we'll go look on the bright side, and then we'll just put a bit of glue with our glue stick on the back, and we'll go there, which is quite nice because it goes onto the circle, but it also highlights our words there. So we'll put these on the other page, just remembering where our crease is. I took that one just underneath there, and we'll just go a little bit further that way. Yeah, so you see we've got a bit of a focal point now. So when I put little quotes or phrases like this on, I don't like to just put them on and just stick them on and them look as if they've just been chucked on. I like to integrate them a little bit, so I tend to go around with a little bit of sketchy doodling. Then it makes them look as if they belong. Because the whole sort of vibe of the little mini journal is sort of scruffy mixed media, what I call messy mixed media. So that page I think is about done. I just want a little bit of something in here. So I might just do echoing the little circle theme. A few little circles there that echo this one, but they're a contrast against the white. Up here, I like these dashes, but I think I might add some little boxes just below them. Yeah, that again is a contrast against the circles. I like that. And we could, if we wanted, go in there and put some white lines. Not sure. If you're not sure, keep going. No, I think what we'll do, we'll colour them all in a solid white. There we are. Yes, I quite like that. So I think that double page is done. I'll continue through the book. I won't do each page with you because everybody's individual and you'll all have your own style and your own vibe that you want to come across in your little journal. But that is the sort of thing I do. So it's adding more details and adding more, just adding more to all the little bits that are on the page. Highlighting them, making them a little bit more interesting. It's the details in these things that make them interesting. So I'll finish my journal off using my other words, flowers, circles and leaves, and then I'll do, at the end of the video, I'll do a flip through. Hello, so I'm back and I've finished it. It's completely done. This is the cover, which you'll notice is part of that sheet of unwasted paint. I've just wrapped it round and secured it on the back, and a few little doodle flowers and just a phrase, because I do love my mum dearly. It's very difficult looking after her and making sure everything's okay for her, because she has her problems at 97, but she's an absolute darling. She's absolutely brilliant, and I love her to bits, and I love spending time with her. We have some real good times and giggles. So that's the cover. This is quite obvious. This is what family looks like. Just little doodle flowers. Again, look on the bright side. These are the leaves, and I've just added some stems to them. Make a difference, because hopefully I do make a difference to her life. Practice kindness. Always be kind, even if things are frustrating. Always be kind. You can do anything, but not everything. I have to remind myself of this a lot. I can't do everything. I can just do my best. More doodled flowers, small little drawn circles. Oh, these are the blobs again, like on the front cover. I've just cut them out and stuck them on, again with a little doodle flower. It's the little things that make life big. I do believe that. It's the little memories that you make. They might not seem huge memories at the time, but when you look back on them, they're all lovely. And then choose to see the good stuff. Just remember the good stuff. Forget the bad stuff. Just remember the good stuff, because those are the best memories. So that's our little journal. They just slide in like that. Just sticks a little bit, that's it. And that's it. Doesn't take up much room, and all your affirmations, thoughts, worries, everything are all parcelled up into a very small space. So I hope you have fun if you want to create one of those, and tag me on social media. I'd love to see if you create one. Thank you for watching. Bye.